Hello and welcome to Where's Wilmington? I'm Lisa Capala. You know, whether you have children of school age or not, do you ever wonder how do those teachers get the resources that they need and how do they stretch their dollars? Well, today I have Jacquie Raffi with us, and she's going to hopefully help us figure out how you teachers do all the great things you do. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me, Lisa.
So I know you're from the Wilmington Educational Foundation. Before we start talking about how you've actually done some pretty amazing things with the limited budget that you have, let's talk about what the Educational Foundation does or what it's really comprised of.
Okay. It's a nonprofit organization that we have here in town, and our sole purpose is really to raise private funds from different sources, and then we have an established set of grant programs that we use to actually give the money back to the school systems for particular uses.
Okay. When did the Educational Foundation, when was it created?
Initially in 1994, back with all of the budget cuts back in the early 90s, and the organization has been active for quite a number of years. There was a little bit of a lull, and back in 2005 it was resurrected with me and a couple of other board members that we took it forward again for some more energy.
Was it ahead of its time in 1994, or was it really something that came out of the need? Was that around Proposition 2.5?
It was. Okay. You'll find if you look at other educational foundations, a lot of them came up around that time when budgets were being cut across school systems.
Right, and that's still going on.
Unfortunately, it is. I think we're entering some tight times to come.
Right. And as I said in the opening, if you don't have school-age children, sometimes you're not thinking about, you know, schools and how it all gets done. But these days, I know a lot of kids have to bring in their own paper, the list of things that children have to bring. It's exorbitant what you have to bring into school. When I went to school, you just brought yourself.
Right.
We didn't even do backpacks back then, you know, so I'm really dating myself. But how has the climate changed in that, you know, how are you making ends meet and how are you managing in these times?
Right. Well, I can't really speak for the school department because the Educational Foundation is totally separate from the school department.
Okay.
But we try very hard to give funds to the schools that cover creative and innovative programs that can't be covered by the municipal budget that's given to the schools.
Right.
So, you know, we don't supply the pencils and the paper and whatnot, but it's really, it's those parts of a child's education that really allow them to be critical thinkers and imaginative and use all of their creative capabilities.
So it's sad to say, but it sounds like we're almost calling them extras. They shouldn't be extras.
Right.
But that's what you're talking about, giving these extra programs that really should be part of the program, but there's no funding.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Like music, art.
Well, actually, we do have, in Wilmington, we have very robust music and art programs within the school system. But really, if there's a particular artist that we want, that the school system wants to bring in for an enrichment program,
right,
those can be very expensive, and those aren't covered by,
right,
by the budget. So it's that sort of thing that it really gives new experiences to our children and allows them to really be excited about a particular topic.
Okay. Tell me what a day in the life of the Educational Foundation lady like yourself, what do you do? What is it like? Are you constantly talking to different teachers about what their needs are? What do you really do?
It's really two things. First, it's the fundraising. It's going out to the community, businesses, parents, people that are as committed to the quality of our education as we on the board are, and actually getting enough interest so that they support our fundraisers, they come to our events, and they understand just how important it is to have a very strong school system, you know, that we have in Wilmington, and what we're trying to do is make it stronger.
And does the Educational Foundation cover from kindergarten up to senior
age?
Oh, it does.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's all 13 grades, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's
we really,
amazing.
there's a range of, you know, program needs at every aspect. And one of our grant programs, the school grant program, which we just announced the awards for, that allows each of the 8 schools in Wilmington to apply for a grant that will help their particular population of students. Because the requirements for a kindergarten school is going to be much different than the middle school. And really, it's those teachers and administrators in those school buildings that really know what best works for their group of students.
Now, the grant money that you're talking about, is that separate from the money that you raise in the fundraiser? In other words, are the grants applied for through state organizations or through the government, and the fundraiser money is used to help with that? How does that work?
Sure. We have, in addition to our fundraising events, we do apply for business grants, and we do try to find money through the state and federal venues as well. And what we do is that money goes into one pool, and we've established 3 grant programs that we then use to put the money back to the school system.
Okay. What does it entail for your teachers to actually write a grant proposal?
It sounds intimidating, doesn't it?
Yes, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because when I talked to you about this, I thought, that must be a lot of paperwork, very time consuming, and teachers are stressed, I would guess, probably to their limit with the larger class sizes and the budget cuts and what have you, having to be parents and psychologists along with being educators. Where do they find the time to write a grant proposal, and what does that entail?
We try to make the process as absolutely easy and simple as we can, and still get the information that we need to be able to make the selection of the grants. Our grant programs are all, the paperwork is all online, so you know, a Saturday night, if a teacher can't sleep because she doesn't know how she's going to fund something that she wants to bring to her classroom, she can go on to the Ed Foundation's website, wilmingtoneducationalfoundation.org. It's long, but it's worthwhile to go there and actually see what our grant applications look like. They're very simple. Really what we're trying to do is we're trying to see how these applications, how they apply to the curriculum that each of the grades needs to stay with, and how it will augment the teaching at each of the grade levels. So, and we're always available to answer any questions that the teachers have while they're filling out their grant proposals.
I would imagine you want to look at the longevity of the grant money, how it's going to impact the class, what it's going to really do for the students. Is this going to be something that's going to enrich them onto the other grades, or is it just going to be a short-term gratification? You must look at the big picture.
Exactly, and not only that, but the population that will be positively impacted by it. So something that will work well for a grade 1 through 3, you know, that's a lot of students. And if you're able to offer that to both of the elementary schools, you know, one in the north side of town and one on the west side of town, that's even better. You know, that's the whole bang for your buck idea. So we're looking for efficiencies as well.
Of course. What kind of ideas are the teachers coming up with? And I know we're going to look at some footage in a minute of some of the things that they have come up with, but what kinds of things are they wanting to give to their students, so to speak?
Well, there's always technology, and our technology mini-grant program is coming up in January, where we're going to offer the teachers the ability to apply for a technology grant, so they can try a new piece of software or a new piece of hardware. Podcasting is becoming very popular, and you know, for the cost of a system, we can actually expand, you know, a 3rd grader's class capability of being able to research a topic, put it on a podcast, and then be able to share it with so many other students.
I don't even have an iPod yet. This is great that the kids are going to have access to that, and they can teach us. That would be fabulous. Now, I know recently Kyle Serino, who is our intern from Wilmington High School, who we all love, he recently shot some footage at your award ceremony when you gave out the grants, or you talked about what the folks did with the grant money. Is that correct?
That was the Fund for Teachers program that we put on, and there were 2 grants that were made, one to Erin Healy, who is a 5th grade teacher at the West School, and then the other grant was shared among 4 Shawsheen 3rd grade teachers, Diane Flaherty, Bob Moriello, Cheryl Cazot, and Donna Rogers. That was a great collaborative effort where each of those grants was used for summer studies and summer traveling that then these teachers brought back to their classrooms.
Okay. We'll look at Erin's footage first, but before we do that, tell us a little bit about what her idea was, and then we'll actually look at some of the things that she showed you at that meeting.
Sure. What was really neat was my husband and I have twin boys who are in 6th grade now. Last year they were in 5th grade, and they went through the Native American curriculum that Erin Healy's trip applied to. So it was very
Wow.
topical for, from my standpoint, that we actually just studied all of the different Native American locations around the United States. I say we, they did. And
Right.
I became learned again
Vicariously
about it.
through them.
That's right.
You have to
that's
help
right.
with the homework.
Yes.
You're going to get something out of it.
Right. So her grant was really to help her fund a travel around the United States to find Native American artifacts and materials that she's incorporating in her curriculum for this year and subsequent years.
What an amazing idea. And I know
really
that in
is.
the footage she talks about how she had hundreds of pictures.
She did.
But she came up with a nice presentation that she showed at your award ceremony. So let's take a look at that, and you can see what Erin Healy did with the grant money that she got. So we'll see that now.
Okay.
I wanted to leave with a slideshow that I put together just to highlight some of the wonderful sites that I saw. It's not all of them. It's only 4.5 minutes long. But I thought it was important for you to see some of the pictures that my students will have access to, since I couldn't show them all. I think I have 2 full camera cards. highlight a few.
Hi, we're back. We're here with Where's Wilmington and Jacquie Raffi. We were just watching some footage of Erin Healy, and wow, what an amazing journey she must have had.
Yeah.
I love the picture of the bison. I love the music she used. And that was really great that she brought all of that to show the teachers, to motivate them to write grant proposals for the next year.
Right, and one of the important ideas of this program is each teacher that's awarded a grant, there's an expectation that they'll share that information with their peers, which is very important because I think some of the same materials that Erin is using in her 5th grade curriculum could be used by several other 5th grade teachers within the school system.
Excellent. So once that information is gotten by the teacher, it stays within the system and you can continue to use it. That's excellent. Well, we're going to take our midpoint break here, but we're going to be back with Jacquie Raffi talking about the Wilmington Educational Foundation. We're going to talk about how you can get involved, and we're going to show you some more footage of some really great things that are going on in our community. So stay with us.
Dominic Dunn from PAC 361, and you're watching WCTV, Wilmington Community Television.
Hi, we're back, and you're watching Where's Wilmington here on WCTV. I'm Lisa Capalla, and we're talking with Jacquie Raffi of the Wilmington Educational Foundation. We're talking about what's going on in your schools that you may or may not know if you don't have kids in the grades that we're talking about. We just saw some really beautiful footage that Erin Healy took while she was doing a trip with money that she got from the Educational Foundation, right?
That's right.
Can you tell us how much she got, or is that not allowed?
Oh, no, that's okay. Yes. Each of the Fund for Teachers grants is $1,500. So we have a
She did
budget.
all of that with $1,500?
I would guess that some of, she had to use her own funds as well. But that really shows the commitment that these teachers have for what they want to do.
And just think about a student who is reading something but then can actually touch it, the tactile sensation of actually being able to really put what they see on the page into their minds like that. That's got to be great to be a part of that.
And I think it really makes a big impact for that student.
Right. Now, when you go to decide who gets these grants, how tough is that?
It really is very difficult, and the board members that are on the subcommittees that evaluate the grant applications for each of our program, they all take their jobs very seriously. And the important thing to understand too is that in addition to the Ed Foundation Board committee members, we work closely with the administration of the school so that we have a really good idea of what the curriculum requirements are for the different grades and how these actually work well within the curriculum.
How long does it take you from the time you get the grant applications to decide who's going to get the grant money?
We usually take about 2 weeks because we need to review all of the information that's submitted, and then what's really useful is that the participants sit around the table and actually discuss different facets of the applications and what works well. We have a whole rubric that we use, and it's a very rigorous process, but one that we do willingly because it's an important addition.
Well, and there have to be standards because obviously there are feelings involved, and people want, of course, you want your project to be the one that gets the money. So you've got to have a benchmark, I would think, to keep it fair.
Right.
So there was a second grant recipient, and that was involving 4 teachers from the Shawshene School.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little about that before we look at it?
Sure. The 3rd grade curriculum, the social studies curriculum, has to do with Massachusetts geography and Massachusetts history. And as a matter of fact, at the Shawshene School, they have a large, towards the end of the year, there's a big project that each of the 3rd graders has to do. My guys, actually, Evan did the Quabbin Reservoir, and Nicholas did the Bunker Hill Monument. And so what each student needed to do was choose and research a particular landmark around Massachusetts. So what these teachers did is they spent an extraordinary amount of their time over the summer traveling together So there's 4 teachers, 4 peers that traveled together to all of these different
Wow.
locations. They went as far west in Massachusetts as you can go. They went to Martha's Vineyard. They went to New Bedford. It's amazing the places that they went and the things that they learned again. And the thing
Right.
that's very exciting about all these programs is these teachers all are lifelong learners. And so the more that these programs can excite them
Right.
and revitalize them, I think the more
Right.
that they bring back to
Because
the
let's be
schools.
honest, there is a high rate of burnout in any of the teaching positions, nursing too, but teaching, I would think, it's probably very easy to get frustrated and be exhausted and feel, where can you go next? And this
Right.
probably rejuvenates them and gives them a new sense of purpose, which is
Right.
very important, I would
Right.
think, when you're in teaching. It's got to be
Yes.
important to keep yourself charged up so that you don't get that sense of by rote.
Exactly.
You know, and my goodness, when we used to do things in school, it was very much that way.
That's
but I'm
right.
glad to see that we're breaking out of that, and teaching can encompass many different kinds of things,
That's
which is
right.
great.
Yeah.
So should we look at that footage?
Yes, I think
All right.
that's great.
Kyle Serino shot this recently. When was this done? It was-
November 18th.
Okay, and this was at the grant award
At the middle
ceremony, but
school.
where you showed actually what some of the teachers had done. So this is the 4 teachers from the Shawshene School and what they did with their $1,500,
That's
right?
right, yes.
Okay, well, let's take a look at that.
1,000 miles we did in about 7 or 8 days. Lots of planning went into it though. We collected lots of information, lots of books. I'd say the bulk of our grant money probably went to purchasing books that we can now bring back to the classroom. So we were lucky enough to bring all these resources as well as the slideshow.
The first day we went to Boston, and we saw some sites, and we did the duck tour. And we started our presentation with the duck tour because it really gives a brief overview of. Yeah, that was our tour guide. Yeah, we found lots of good tour guides along the way that really wanted to participate. Brief history on the ducks, and it starts with the Prudential Center, which is the second tallest building in Boston. And from there, it goes through a bunch of different. A bunch of different sites in Boston. The Boston Public Gardens, the Swan Boats. A lot of these are featured in student projects at the end of the year.
As recent as 2006, we found out this kind of hidden gem in the back of Beacon Hill, which is part of the Black Heritage Trail, which was just funded the last few years. It was started in 1972. But there's a lot of firsts, and just like we bring Willie around Wilmington, there were a lot of firsts for Wilmington. There were a lot of firsts as Massachusetts citizens, and we really foster pride in the state when we're doing these kinds of things. So this, for example, was the first African-American church and one of the only ones remaining still today. It was used as a gathering place, and we talk about it being known as, it was known in that time as the Black Faneuil Hall. William Lloyd Garrison gave speeches there. Many, many famous free black people and white people came together to protest slavery at that time.
Big favorite among the kids for obvious reasons. They love basketball. It highlights the all-stars, refs, coaches, male, female, college, pro. It's shaped as a sphere, actually, like a basketball. We didn't go at night, so we didn't get this glamorous shot at night, but it's very cool. We learned a couple of great facts. One, it started out with peach baskets and a 10-foot pole. James Naismith did it when he was at Springfield College. Very interesting thing, though, is Boston Celtics did not start out as the Boston Celtics. They started out as the Manhattan Celtics. Didn't come to Boston until 1946. We didn't know that. Mrs. Rogers read for hours trying to figure that out for us.
She goes back straight.
From there, we went to Shelburne Falls, the glacial potholes, and the Bridge of Flowers. All kind of uncharted territory for us. We'd not been there before. Embarrassed to say we don't know a lot about the western part of the state, but Shelburne Falls actually was a site for the Native Americans to go salmon fishing. You go upstream a little bit and you get to the glacial potholes, which were formed by the glacial period flooding the Connecticut River Valley. All the mud, the sand, and the stones went through and drilled through the bottom of the river and formed all these smooth crevices in the river. You can't really see the pictures right here, but we have great ones to show the kids back in the classroom.
All right, you've been watching Where's Wilmington? We've been talking with Jacquie Raffi and showing you some footage from the Wilmington Educational Foundation and how our teachers in this community are really stepping out of their comfort zones and getting all kinds of great things going for our kids. What's next for the Wilmington Educational Foundation? What's the next big thing?
Well, as I mentioned, we have the technology grants coming up in January, and then in February we'll be offering our next Fund for Teachers application process. Fundraising, I think this year is going to be a challenge as the economy continues to downturn. But we have our annual vendor fair, our second annual vendor fair coming up in April that we're hoping to grow into a larger, more successful fundraising event. And it's those sorts of things, in addition to the wonderful corporate grants we get from companies in town, such as Analog Devices and Staples and Danvers Bank and other businesses that support us on a very consistent basis.
Anything you'd like to ask our viewing audience? Anything you need from the community?
Well, only that, you know, we feel on the Ed Foundation board so passionate about the quality of our school system, and we really invite anyone who shares that passion to either volunteer their time with us or come to a board meeting and hopefully maybe become a board member eventually.
Excellent.
And our information about the organization and our meetings and what we're up to is on our website, wilmingtoneducationalfoundation.org.
We'll make sure we put that up for you. Jacquie, Raffi, thank you so much
Thank
for what
you,
you're doing.
Lisa.
It was so exciting to have you
It's
here.
really fun to be
Will you
here.
come back before April and tell us about your fundraiser?
I will.
That'd
Thank
be great.
you.
So we'll see you then. Make sure you keep watching Where's Wilmington so you can find out what's really going on in your community. People like Jacquie, Raffi, and those other folks in the community are really trying to make a difference here, and I think they're succeeding. So keep watching, and remember, the next time someone asks you, where's Wilmington, you tell them right here and right here on WCTV. Thanks for watching.